Hey guys, Cami and Kinney for the originals, Season 3, Episode 6, Beautiful Mistake. And holy shit, this episode was huge. I mean, once again, so much happened in this episode. But again, this is the original, so that always happens. But really, this was a pretty crazy episode. I mean, we found out a lot of information about this episode. We pretty much now know what's going on between Aurora, Tristan, and Lucien, which I really love seeing in this episode. But let's just get into it. Obviously, we're looking forward to it. You know, last week's episode was amazing, and this was by far the best episode of the season. Like I told you guys, it's getting better and better, and even though Davina wasn't in this episode, that was fine. She didn't need to be in this one. Who was in this episode? We did get the return of Rebekah in this episode, which we will get into. But let's start at the beginning of this episode, which I love, because it throws us completely for a loop. We're like, what's going on here? We see Aurora, she's waking up in bed as Klaus stares at himself, and I'm like, how the hell, why, what are we missing here? I'm like, did I miss something? And it's a very interesting, beginning, because of course we know that Klaus absolutely despises Aurora the last time we saw her. So why the fuck would he have sex with her? Why is she naked in his bed? And he's staring himself in the mirror. Aurora tells him to come closer. He says he thinks it's best she stays out of arm's reach. And he just got off the phone, and she says she takes it he heard about what happened earlier. She tells him that she will let him in on everything he knows, and basically then we get flashback to the events of what happened before this scene. So Freya, who has a huge part in this episode, I mean, I've said that we've kind of had a lack of Freya this season. This episode really makes up for that. She has a lot to do here. Freya completes a spell that allows her to talk to Rebekah, and the two are enjoying a drink together. And I like the way that we saw Rebekah, the way we caught up with her. Of course, she's still in Eva's body. That's the body she chose to be in. And Rebekah tells her that there might be a way to bring their family back to the way it was. Rebekah really wants to fix things. Obviously, Freya wants to fix things too. And I like the bonding between these two. They really want to fix things. And the drink ends with Rebekah going off to a witch rendezvous. And she's visited by this man, but then it turns out to be Aya and another Strix, and Aya slits her throat and tells her that she can't come out of her body when the real monsters come, and basically she has now killed Eva's body, so Rebekah can't go into that body, and Aya was very smart in doing that, and yes, this pretty much showed that, holy shit, we're gonna get back to the original, what we really didn't know was gonna happen. I mean, I honestly didn't know what was gonna happen here, what Aya was really trying to do. We'll get into that, which I thought was definitely very interesting. So, Freya then walks into the aftermath of the fight between her brothers, and obviously, she's like, what the fuck is going on? Because they're covered in blood, their shirts are ripped, I mean, they look terrible, they really do, and, I thought this was definitely a really great scene. I mean, the way they were being, like, so casual about it was pretty funny, but it goes with them, definitely, and she sees the two of them sitting at a table battered, and they're bloody, they're drinking blood, and she says, may I ask what happened, and Klaus says they had a little chat. They're now on each other's side and know that Tristan and Lucien are plotting against them, and basically, they turned against each other. Well, now they've realized that there's no reason to do that, because, now they know that Tristan and Lucien are plotting against them, and the two brothers then toast to a reformed alliance, and I know some people might be upset by that, but here's the thing. The reason I'm happy they did this is because I think they realized that there was no point in fighting, that I think they rethought it over and realized there's no point in fighting, we need to think more about this and we need to work together, even though they might not, really agree with each other, and both still do want to kill each other. I don't think that they've completely made amends or anything, but I do think they're understanding that we kind of put all this aside because, obviously, our sire lines are trying to kill us. So then we see Detective Kinney, and of course, we know that he arrested Cami last week. He asked Cami to show why he is wrong for arresting him, and Lucien shows up and takes the detective out. He just, knocks him out. I mean, it's badass right here. Lucien, this is the episode where it confirms that Lucien's gonna be a huge badass. He then chokes Cami until she's unconscious, but isn't dead, and, Cami and Kinney are basically tortured this entire episode, which was really hard to watch. There were actually some really hard scenes, and like I've said, you guys, I mean, I can't believe this show is able to be on the CW, because there are some pretty graphic scenes in this episode. I mean, people getting their throats slit, I mean, really graphic stuff, but I really applaud the CW for doing that. Like I've said, you guys, there are scenes in here that are basically like Hannibal. Hannibal's a show that should never been on NBC. This show really doesn't belong on the CW, but it's on the CW, and that's why it's so great. you know, regardless of what network is on. It's just a great show in general, and I love that. I know, of course, it is a spinoff of the Vampire Diaries, but this show is a lot more bloodier than that show, and I definitely really like that. So, basically, Haley's being followed in the corridor. She takes the path down an alley to escape her trackers. She tries to surprise him, but a fight engages. She ends up biting him, and we don't know who is following her, what connection they have, but we know there's a reason why she's being followed. Also, I love when she called Davina, because I like that they're keeping this friendship up. Obviously, they've grown really close, and I really like that. So Freya and Elijah are chatting about Tristan Lucien's alliance. She wants to know what Elijah did to warrant such hatred, and what we find out Elijah did is amazing. I think what he did was very interesting, basically. Because obviously, why would they want to go after them? I mean, you know, Freya thinks it's pretty much about Julian losing, not Julian, that's the Vampire Diaries. I always get the two names mixed up. Lucien losing, Aurora. That's what he thinks. That's what, you know, that's what she initially thinks it's about. But Elijah says that has nothing to do with this at all. There's a lot more to it. What actually happened is when they were young, he compelled Tristan, Aurora, Lucien that they were actually the Michelson children. Which basically he says that under that threat they take action for better or worse, and that's very interesting when he did. He basically compelled, you know, all the siblings and made them think they were Tristan. You know, he made Klaus think he was Tristan. He made Rebekah think she was Aurora, and he made himself think he was Lucien, which is very interesting that he did that, and you can understand, obviously, why they are mad at him about that. So Elijah says that under threat, they take action for better or worse. He tells her that Lucien, Aurora, and Tristan's days are numbered, and they're going to take them out. They're going to make sure they take them out. They're not playing nice anymore, and they know that they have to kill them. So Freya then begins feeling very strange. She drops her glass. She says something is wrong, and they need to call Rebekah. She knows that there's something weird going on. And of course, you know, they're both witches, so they know they know that something is going on here. So Klaus then pays Aurora a visit. The two seem to be getting along a lot better. Well, Rebekah's not a witch, but Freya is. But basically, Klaus pays Aurora a visit. The two seem to be getting along a lot better, actually. You know, he wants to show her the city to see what side she's on. And you can tell that he is obviously, you know, playing this up. This is all an act. He's only basically doing this to figure out, you know, what side she's on and figure out where she is and if she, you know, he should really trust her. Because if not, you know, if anything she says that sounds suspicious, he's probably going to fucking kill her. I mean, that's really, I think, where we're headed with Aurora. Klaus is definitely going to kill her at some point. That's going to happen. Klaus is pointing out his most charming facade, and Cami then wakes up in Lucien's penthouse where she is no longer restrained. You know, she's not handcuffed like she was before. He offers her a mimosa, but she refuses, and I know a lot of people are saying, oh, this is exactly like Finn. This is not like Finn. This is way different than Finn. Finn simply wanted to use Cami to turn against all of them, but this is much different than that. What Lucien does, I think, is a lot more interesting. He tells her that everything could have gone much smoother, you know, basically, you know, if she would have agreed, and Kinney was, basically, we realized that Kinney was compelled to cook for Cami and Lucien, and Lucien tells Kinney to throw his blade at Cami's face, and when he does, Lucien catches it. He wants Cami's help in finding Bronze Medallion. Basically, that's why he wants her help. Now, Finn, I believe, was only there because he wanted to get Cami on his side. This is all about finding this Bronze Medallion, and obviously, Cami's very reluctant to do it, but she really has no choice because, you know, one, Kinney is compelled, so if anything happens, Kinney's gonna throw the knife right at her. Two, obviously, she needs, you know, she really can't say no. So Freya's frantically trying to connect it to Rebekah, but there's nothing there. She says she's gone, and it's as if she has vanished. However, we see this isn't the case. Rebekah's actually back in her original body and wakes up in the casket, and it was so awesome to see Claire Holt back. Of course, we know it's not going to last long because Claire Holt, as you guys know, only likes to be on the show for a few episodes. That's not necessarily her fault. You know, she has a life. She has, I believe, a daughter to take care of. She had a show called Aquarius that does have a season 2, and they probably are working on it, so there's that as well, which she is a main character on, which sucks because that show's really not that good, and this show's amazing. But what I like about Rebekah barely being on the show is that it always is, you know, they always know what we want in Rebekah. They always always give us enough Rebekah. They always give us enough of Rebekah being a badass, and they really did that well here. They gave off the emotion, and Claire Holt this entire episode was amazing. She really gave a great performance. It was great to see her again. So she wakes up to find her former body on the floor, and you can tell right away that she is pissed. Aya walks in, and Rebekah says she has a lot to answer for. Aya and the Strix seem to want to capture Rebekah and use her as baits, which is very smart, because obviously Klaus and Elijah would do anything to protect Rebekah, obviously. So that is a perfect way to use them as baits. And Aya and a few other Strix square off Rebekah, who has to fight for her life, and basically, it's a really crazy scene. You don't know what's going to happen here, and there's basically everything goes on with Rebekah is crazy here. Kinney is finally filled in on what's been going on, and Lucien is growing weary of waiting for Cami to find the medallion. He's not sure if she's going to say, no or not. She doesn't give him an answer yet, and obviously, Kinney wants to knows that he's compelled now, but he can't really, again, escape because he knows how powerful Lucien is. And plus, they're both humans, so they really can't do anything. Honestly, I know people would say, well, why doesn't Cami put up a fight? She can't do anything. She doesn't stand a chance against Lucien. She's a human. If she dies, she's dead. That's really what it comes down to. Which, again, like I said, I really do feel like this season is going to end with Klaus siring Cami at some point. I do think that's going to happen. So Lucien tells Cami that Klaus stole his girl and 1,000 years of his life in order to get Cami to work. And, Lucien tells Cami that Klaus stole his girl and 1,000 years of his life. And, it's a lot more than just his girl. He stole 1,000 years of his life. And, he says in order to get Cami to work harder, Lucien compels Kinney to slice an artery. Holy shit, that was so graphic when we saw that. I can't believe the show went there. I was like, can they show this stuff on, this show? But, that was pretty crazy that they showed that. So Klaus and Aurora are enjoying a bloody meal. He tells her that being in her company is intoxicating. He asks her if she feels the same. She says she's not his enemy, but she does hate Elijah. I love the scene where she casually, asked the man to give her something. I don't remember what it was. But then he's like, "You gonna take candy now?" I thought that was pretty funny. I definitely really like that. Basically, she says that she does hate Elijah. She says that Tristan, Lucien, and herself spent years running with each other, thinking that they were the Michaelsons, and she says they lost every, who they were and who they had become. Obviously, they were very confused. They thought that they were the Michaelsons this whole time, and, just imagine what would have happened if you were compelled. It really makes, I think, these characters a lot more, dare I say, compelling. It really does. Because of the fact that they were compelled, they didn't know who they were, they lost sight of who they were, and they had to run from Michael, and they swore that they would kill their sires. Even though Michael knew it wasn't them, he still came after them. And Klaus says that if his family dies, so does all their stress. I honestly want to see a flashback of them having to act as Klaus, Elijah, and Rebekah. I do feel like we're going to get to that eventually, but that's very interesting what's going on there. So Klaus says if his family dies, so does all their stress, and that's true. Obviously, like I said, you kill Klaus, you've killed them all. Anyone that Klaus has sired, they will die. Anyone the Vampire Diaries that's a vampire, they will die. That's how it is, and that's why Klaus is never going to die. So she reveals that that's the beautiful mystery of all of it and asks for dessert, and basically Haley then brings her attacker to Marcel, who recognizes him. She asks him why he was tailing her and tells him to prove that he is on their side because, he doesn't know who this man is and if he can trust him. So they want to make sure that they can trust him before they, train him or anything. So Freya and Elijah are trying to find a way to locate Rebekah, who's fighting for life against Aya. And obviously, they don't know where she is. So just when Rebekah thinks she has the upper hand, more Strix come in. And I like how Rebekah's just trying to put up a fight here. She's ready to beat the shit out of these Strix. And it's awesome to watch, really. Really awesome stuff. And Claire Holt really showed how much of a badass Rebekah can be in this episode. Rebekah joins the party, helps Rebekah by using her magic to snap the necks of her sister's attackers, and Freya then tells Rebekah to run, and they're not going to stay that way. She gets Aya and all of them, she just puts them down right away. That's not going to stick. That they're probably going to, they're probably not dead, but Rebekah gets to run, and I love how Freya saved her. That's something that Rebekah didn't have last season, is Freya. Freya was there, but not for, this, and that's something I like about Freya. Now we have an actual witch, not like Davina, that actually, is connected to, of course, Klaus and Elijah, and is, their sister. So I like the way that we had, Freya in this episode. Definitely they utilized her very well. So Lucian's on the phone with another one of his accomplices and leaves the room. Cami tries to help Kinney, but he has become compelled to hurt Cami. Basically he can't help her at all because he's not himself for now. And to the point where if she gets close to him, Kinney puts 2 and 2 together and realizes that Cami's brother was caught up in the supernatural worlds. So that's very interesting that we found this out. I mean, I don't think we knew this before. I think we know, of course, that her brother had some problems, but Kinney tells Cami that he has a sister and begins to ask Cami for a favor, and she stops him and tells him that they will make it out. I don't know what he was going to ask her. We don't know what's going on with his sister, but this is interesting. Is his sister possibly caught up in the supernatural world? Is she going to be targeted eventually? That's something to definitely think about. Are we going to meet Kinney's sister? Definitely. She continues to rummage through the boxes, and, she's trying to tell him, look, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. But she's not really sure. She's very doubtful, actually, and I like seeing that doubt in Cami, because, of course, she doesn't know they're actually going to make it out. She's just hoping that they will make it out. She's thinking that that's going to work out. So Aurora and Klaus are taking a walk in the cemetery, and she sees that the stroll isn't innocent. He tells her that she shouldn't doubt his feelings for her, and they have one more stop, and Elijah's very nervous, and when he learns that Marcel is holding Shen, he instructs him to tear his heart out before he awakens, and Freya and Elijah visit Rebekah using a spell, demand for her to come home without detour. She agrees and tells them to get back and save Marcel and Haley from the monster that is Shen, and Shenmin's awake, and Haley says it's about time. She says they can get started, and Shenmin actually agrees, which is actually very creepy, the fact that Shenmin agreed to this. So Haley's then torturing Shenmin to get an answer as to why he was following her. He said that they could have used her as bait when he breaks free. He's going to kill her both. He's going to kill, them both, Marcel and Haley. And Marcel tries to kill Shenmin, but falls and he breaks out of his restraints. Shenmin gains the upper hand on Haley and Marcel. They almost die, but Elijah comes in, saves the day by killing Shenmin. I mean, this was just insane. All of these scenes, they really felt like a mid-season finale, which I have no idea how they're going to be able to top stuff like this for the mid-season finale. I mean, it's going to be really crazy. Definitely what's in store for that. Definitely. I mean, with episodes like this, I really don't know what's going to happen. We'll have to see. So, Freya's telling Rebekah that she has to go, but she doesn't want to leave without a way of getting Cole back, and Freya decides she won't argue with her sister any longer. She's gonna get away, because obviously, Rebekah wants to protect her sister. As much as her sister can help her out, Rebekah wants to do this on her own, and I like seeing that. And I like how Freya still has that idea of maybe we can get Cole back, and I don't know if that's gonna happen, but honestly, that might be one of the only ways to stop them. I mean, Cole has connections, obviously. They would not go after Cole. I mean, probably they would. They'd probably use him as bait. But Cole, I feel like, could take them out. So we'll have to see what happens. Are they going to bring Cole back? I'm not really sure. But Klaus then brings Aurora to his home. His intentions lead him and Aurora to a secret hiding place where he kept a painting of her. And he said he thought that if he painted her, he could free his soul of what haunts him. And he says he couldn't be any more wrong. And just like that, earns a big kiss from Aurora, who's moved to tears. And, very interesting that we saw that, that he's kept this painting of her after all these years. I mean, you see that even though he doesn't want to think about her, he has. I mean, that's really what's happened here, and it's a really emotional scene, and you don't know if Aurora is sincere or not, if she actually is, happy with what he's saying, or if she's just trying to, get to his good side. I mean, I really couldn't tell if Aurora was sincere or not in the scene, but I really like that because, it makes her character, I think, a lot more interesting. So Shen alive for an interrogation. He missed that he was instructed to remove Haley to get to Davina. They need Davina to activate a weapon that could kill the Michelson family. Now that's really interesting because, of course, we've known that obviously they have not agreed with Davina, and now we know that obviously they wanted to activate this weapon. So that's very interesting that we know that, and I don't know if really Davina is going to do that because, as we know, she's trying to get them to subdue Klaus and show that even though Klaus may be someone she doesn't really like, he should not be the one they go after. So when Elijah tries to find out what the weapon is, Shen says he would rather die and bursts into flames and doesn't get a chance to tell them. So what this weapon could be, we don't really know. They're definitely going to find this weapon, and I guess we're going to have to find out what it is in a later episode, because we don't find out what it is in this episode. So Cami bargains to let Lucien heal Kinney with his blood in exchange for a possible location of the medallion. She shows him a skull, but it was a trick. She actually tried to kill Lucien, but it didn't work, and now Kinney's life is in even more danger. I honestly thought Kinney was going to die in this episode. He doesn't die, though. I thought he was going to. And just before Lucien orders Kinney to kill himself, Cami gives up the medallion because obviously she's not going to let Kinney die. I mean, if Kinney dies, there is no way of investigating these murders. And of course, she knows who the murders are. So she just needs to convince Kinney. Of course, Kinney, probably still thinks she's responsible for this, but I think now he's realizing that she's not, and definitely very interesting there. So Freya and Rebekah are working to get the spell she needs to bring Cole back. Freya tells her that they need to go now, and just then a witch comes in, appears to be on the strict side, and the witch begins to attack Rebekah, and when Freya tries up, she's unable to do it, and Aya plans on killing Rebekah, sends Freya back to her body, and basically Aya tells Rebekah that the spell was real, and she wanted to enjoy the look on her face when she took it away, and basically I was Aya the whole time. That witch was Aya, and I thought that was definitely very smart of Aya, definitely. Aya daggers Rebekah, but it doesn't kill her. She's basically doing what'll happen to Elena. She's going to be in this state of slumber, reminiscent, of course, how she was discovered on the Vampire Diaries. If you remember when we first met Rebekah, she was in this stasis, basically. So she's going to be in this state of slumber. We don't know how long, but she says when she'll come back, she'll vow her vengeance. And I know some people are upset about the, the whole hi Rebekah, bye Rebekah nonsense, but I think it works well with her character because you're always rooting for her to come back. It's always a way to, if Claire Holt wants to come back, she can. I like that they never kill her off. I like that they always utilize her very well. And I think especially for this episode, they used her very well. I definitely think we're going to see her again. And, it's really amped up the plot very, very well. I loved everything we got there. And of course, they were going to bring Cole back, but it didn't work out well. And of course, the one promise that Rebekah made to Davina is that I will bring Cole back. We will do this together. And obviously, Davina was nowhere to be found, so Freya was the person to do that. So I'm wondering if Freya's still going to try to help Davina with that, because it doesn't seem like it's a concern of Davina's anymore, honestly. It was a concern of hers, but now at this point, she's not convinced, she's not concerned about that, because she has so much other shit going on with her coven. They're against her and everything, so I don't know if she necessarily doesn't want that, but I do think that she's kind of moved on, which is interesting. It really shows her growth as a character in one season. So Lucien compels Kinney to continue his life but grow to himself because he knows that there are things lurking in the shadow, such as what's going on with Kinney's sister. What's going on with her, again, we don't know. But Cami then begs him not to do so. He says, like Kinney, he will leave her with one lesson: against vampires, humans always lose. And of course, that's true. I mean, if you're a human, you're not going to stand a chance against a vampire, a hybrid, a werewolf, anything, really. If you're a human, you should just better start running because you can't really do anything. They're just too powerful. I mean, even though I think, Kinney would put up a fight or Cami would put up a fight, obviously, if they're human, they can't really do much. So Klaus watches Aurora sleep, and Freya awakens from watching her sister disappear, tries to locate her. She has no idea what's happened to her at this point. She has no idea what's going on. She's obviously freaking out. I mean, one moment her sister's alive, and now she's not. So Haley tells Elijah that all she ever wanted was to find her family, then a home, and I really like this scene with Haley and Elijah. I mean, notice that Jackson's not in this entire episode, which I think was interesting, the way that Jackson wasn't in here. I think it just shows that Elijah will do more for Haley than Jackson would. Not that Jackson doesn't love Haley, but I think Jackson just doesn't fully understand what's going on, and Elijah does. And it's interesting the way they're showing Haley and Elijah, and then Haley and Jackson. Haley and Jackson is more of her calm life, while Haley and Elijah is more of what her real life is like. So basically, she says all she ever wanted to do was find her family, then find a home. She says that New Orleans is their home and that Strix are trying to take it. And Elijah says that they're not going to let them take it, obviously. She's most concerned about Hope and Jackson. And I like that despite Elijah, not really liking Jackson, he still wants to help her because he'd do anything for her. And I love that about Elijah. So Freya and Marcel walk in. They tell Elijah that they need to call Klaus because now they know what's happened to Rebekah. And then we pick up right from the beginning, of course, because now we know everything that's happened. And she tells him a weapon that can create an unbreakable boundary that can lock the originals away forever. And of course, now that was the weapon that obviously, that obviously Shen Min was talking about. What is this weapon called? We don't know. It definitely, like I said, this is a weapon, I've talked about this before, but this is definitely a weapon that is more powerful than the white oak stake. And obviously, this is something that is going to be a lot more powerful. So, Aurora says she took measures to make sure Rebekah's body was safer. She had 2 members of her sire line keep Rebekah's body safe. And basically, Klaus gets the call of what's happened to Rebekah. And obviously, um, she says that they need to take care of it, and that basically is how the episode ends. So basically, what they're gonna do Rebekah's body, we're not really sure. I mean, obviously, they stabbed her, so she can't put up a fight, but obviously, they're using her as bait. So now, it looks like next week, the main goal is to get Rebekah back, obviously. I mean, obviously, they want to save their sister, so we'll have to see what happens with that, but that definitely is going to be very interesting. Now, Aurora, we obviously can't trust Aurora. She's definitely out for revenge. No matter what happens, even though she still loves Klaus, she's still going to be out for revenge. I mean, this is all about a revenge mission for her. Obviously, what they did to them really affected them, and I like finding out what's actually happened to, all of the sire lines. I mean, again, like I told you guys, I found this a lot more interesting than the Vampire Diaries, because the Vampire Diaries is quite one note, and this really isn't. I just find it a lot deeper, and I definitely really like that. Now, let's talk about, Kinney's sister. What happened to Kinney's sister? Obviously, he was going to tell Cami something about his sister, and we don't know what it is. So, we'll have to see what happens with that, because I really feel that whatever happened to his sister is very imperative, and we're going to find out what's going on there. But clearly that torture that Lucien says Kinney is going through, I think that really is that torture he's talking about. What is this weapon? How are they going to find this weapon? Obviously, I think right now they're going to need to try to find this weapon before they do, because, who knows what could happen if you kill, like, say, Lucien or any of them. What's going to happen with them, we're not really sure. That's going to be very interesting to see what happens with that. Is Rebekah going to awake from her sleep? I don't know when, I don't know how, but I know it's going to happen eventually. I just don't know when. Of course, Freya tried to bring back Cole. Do you think that's actually Davina's concern? Like I said, I don't really feel it's a concern of Davina's right now. I think that she just has so much else in her mind that's really not something that she's really that concerned about, and we'll have to see what happens with that. Now that Shen Min is dead, what's going to happen with Davina's people? Obviously, they want her to kill the Mikaelson family, but do you really think that Davina's going to agree to it? I'm really not sure at this point. I feel like Davina would not be okay with it, surprisingly. I mean, you'd think that she would be, but I honestly don't think at this point she would be. I think that there's a lot more going on. I think she cares about them more than she initially feels she would, and I feel because of that, she can't kill them. She just can't see herself doing something like that. Which I can totally understand why she wouldn't want to do that. Now, we didn't see Tristan this whole episode, which was quite interesting. We didn't see Tristan this whole episode, but let's talk about I really want to see some flashbacks of Tristan, Aurora, and Lucien when they were Klaus, Elijah, and Rebekah. I just think that would be really interesting, because not only would it get us to care about them, but it also would show the struggle that they went through. I mean, even though these are supposed to be our heartless villains, they're not heartless at all. In fact, I think this makes them just as vulnerable as the originals, and that's something that's very compelling about the show. They always find ways to get you to care about the villains. Even like Dahlia and Esther, I cared about them last year. I cared about Finn as well. All of the characters on the show, they really get you to care for, and that's something I really love, is at the end of the day, these are characters that are just, they have some sort of mission. They're not just going after the Mikaelsons to go after the Mikaelsons. They're going after them for revenge. I definitely like finding that out. Let's talk about this whole relation between Klaus and Aurora. What is this? Is this real? Do you think that she actually cares about Klaus? I mean, I think to him, this is simply just, I'm going to get the information I need, I'm going to pretend I still like her, and that's what I'm going to do with that. But then you see that picture he has of Aurora. So do you feel that he still has feelings for her? I feel like he does. I feel like Klaus doesn't want to admit, his real, true feelings for Aurora that I think he still has, but he can't admit them, because why would he admit to something like that? I mean, Klaus would never admit to actually liking Aurora, I think mainly because of the fact that he obviously, she's going after him and all the shit she's done. I think he still cares about her, though, and I don't really know why, but that definitely is very interesting to see what's going to happen with that. Obviously, Cami's convinced Kinney that she is innocent. I'm pretty sure she's going to be innocent, but what's going to happen now? After this whole thing with Lucien, what are they going to do? Are they going to try to arrest Lucien? I mean, Lucien is obviously too powerful for them, so I'm thinking maybe getting Cole back might be the right thing to do. We'll have to see. I mean, Vincent is probably a good idea, but he's running out of magic, as we know. So, really, I don't know what's going to happen here, honestly. I don't really know. This is something I like, is that, like I told you guys, you really can't predict what's ever going to happen in the originals. It's a very unpredictable show, and I really like that. I also like seeing how, even though Klaus and Elijah are still at each other's throats, they have to work together, and they're realizing that, look, we have to put all this aside. Even though we have a lot we're dealing with, we need to put it all aside, and I really like seeing that. But overall, guys, amazing episode. By far the best episode of the season. So many amazing scenes, especially the action scenes. Holy shit, I mean, like I said, it was graphic. It showed stuff that I don't think they should have shown, but they showed it anyway, and that's why I love this show, because it's such a risk-taking show. It's not afraid to show things that other shows probably wouldn't, and I definitely love that. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. I absolutely loved this episode. Like I said, by far best episode of the season. I cannot wait for next week's episode, which is a Thanksgiving episode, which is cool. They didn't do that last year. I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to be. It's probably going to be a very interesting Thanksgiving, because it looks like it's a Thanksgiving between the Michelsons and then their sire lines, which it's going to get bloody. Someone's going to die, definitely. Someone's going to die, and as we know, the prophecy reads that they're all going to fall, and no one has fallen technically. I think Rebekah's the first sign of that, but someone definitely is going to die. We don't know who, but I think definitely someone is out for danger, and I don't know who it's going to be. I keep thinking Haley. I don't know why, but I feel like Haley, just all that she's been through, I feel like Haley could end up getting killed. Marcel, Davine, I really don't know. I just feel like they have to kill off a major character in order for this to work out. We'll have to see. Also, I have no idea what's going to happen in the mid-season finale. After this crazy episode, I don't know how they're going to pull, how they're going to top it in the mid-season finale, but they probably will. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. I absolutely loved it. And we'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for Flesh and Bone. And I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.